Hey guys, welcome to the MC Anime Podcast. We cover anime, geek culture, Japanese aesthetics, and Asian studies. We are a multi-fandom podcast, and you can expect to hear topics in your favorite hobby or fandom activity potentially. You can find MC Anime on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, please check out mcanimepodcast.com, our website. Furthermore, stay tuned in for another episode.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of MC Anime. MC here, and we're back with Leslie again. Say hi and give a little about yourself.
I am Les of the Less Is Made podcast, who Mr. MC himself likes to help me get episodes good. He called me be the guest. I am also a photographer and writer, and I'm trying to get my podcast to different things, and I'm working on it, and I work with great people like you, man.
Well, I can't ask anymore. So today we're going to jump into a really interesting episode that Leslie's super excited for. The cultural significance of anime. So with that being said, first, just what does it mean to have culture with the entertainment that you love so much or like an anime property?
You're talking about me, what I think about the culture
you think of
anime.
The cultural aspect. Yes.
Well, I believe that they a lot of animes when you watch some, especially with the younger like children or like teenagers when they're dealing with adults, to seeing how they're always bowing and most of the time showing respect is something that I know is really big in the Japanese society, and that's something that they do pretty well in showing that, respecting their elders, so to speak.
Gotcha. So if you were given the chance to respect your elders, you do it the exact same way, or you do it any differently?
No, I respect my elders to the fullest, man, because look, I'm in my 30s. I've learned a lot, but I'm just saying, some of the older coworkers with my day job, they're actually, I've been at this job for about a year, and they're actually finally, the guy's in his 70s, and he's it's like the same position, but he's actually walking me through how to do things instead of just me like trying to figure it out,
Gotcha. All right, well, that's a good little snippet into the culture, and Leslie liking his older people.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
fun, man.
The 5 points of the cultural significance of anime is this: where it started, the origins, the reflection on Japanese society, the influence of such society, the global reach, and the impact with the future prospects. So just to cover the origins a little bit, it all started from the 1940s. Do you know how it started, actually?
Are you talking about how anime was like started?
Yeah.
The only thing I can say is, like you said, in the 1940s, is I'm sure right after World War II, the Japanese culture just started to explode with them being brought to the Western world. So I can only speculate that had something to do with it.
Well, in the 1940s, the huge war genre from after World War II was huge. So what a lot of times Japan did was spread its propaganda, how they were in the war, but also like their position against the United States and other people. So they were pushed into a program, made it animated. United States, after they defeated them, when they were basically stationed and taking control of Japan and reestablishing the government for the democracy, they let the manga slip in the animation slip in, and they thought it was just for kids. Well, it had a lot of mature overlays with it, and as a result, that's what pushed the envelope into them being so expressive, exaggerated characters, caricatures, stuff like that. So it was a satire. But after the war genre kind of ended, they started experimenting a little bit more. Then we get into like the 60s, where actually the first mainstream was Astro Boy. And we kind of basically start after Astro Boy modern anime into what it is now.
And so I'm trying to understand, you're saying that the Japanese government used kind of cartoons as propaganda during the war, and then afterwards,
They looked at after the war, because Japanese were spreading propaganda all the time in the war and after the war, but they were using this as the U.S. treatment of Japan at the time for the occupation. So like a protest to the occupation of Japan when the United States was occupied.
Okay, now I'm following you.
There was selling their viewpoint, their VOV of the events after. So they were being expressive of the fact, pushing that message in. So
I did not know that.
40s and 50s, a lot of that anime is very symbolistic of the conflict, the drawn to scale, the characters, stuff like that. So it's very symbolic.
I got you. Now I'm following.
Yeah. Because now it's pushed the boundaries in the envelope to actually include its culture. It still included its culture during this time period, but it now pushes it more into other stuff that they known for.
Yeah, like
so that's
what?
Kind of the lens of the cultural significance of the origins is the evolution of it, how it came to be in that media.
Okay.
And then, like, for example, we have like the Yukiko e-prints, the manga, evolve into its own medium, its own visual and narrative techniques.
I don't know that one, so that's why I'm kind of.
The Yukiko e-prints are just basically like a comic panel and like moving pictures. So they will actually use that in manga as a way to push the medium into what anime is from that point on, and make it its own medium of expression.
Okay, so manga wasn't around for a while. I didn't know if manga was after anime became a thing.
Manga was before anime. The animations was the films that were start making, because you have to remember the greater animations were starting to take an effect after like the first anime releases like Bambi came out and stuff like that. The technology was getting to a point where you can show these animation panels on the screen itself.
Oh, all right.
So it was actually big for the time when it was doing it. Well, not Bambi. Not Bambi. Willie Steamboat was one that pushed the envelope for that.
So yeah, like one of the first cartoons or whatever. You're talking about how were able to kind of have animated drawings, and probably like kind of like a flip book probably back in the day. You ever seen those?
All that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of the origins, how it evolves in the significance of the culture aspect. With that dipping into their VOV of how they were treated in the occupation during that time period to be democratic, they also became distinct in viewing its own storyline.
Yeah, it's funny how Japan is basically like England now. They still have an emperor, but just a figurehead, so to speak. So they
don't have an emperor anymore.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they still do.
They still have an emperor.
Get rid of that.
No, they still have an emperor. Well, what do you think they had during World War II? The emperor was still around.
Well, the emperor was around to that point, but
yeah, they still had an emperor. He's the one that kind of helped, win World War II. Basically, he had to, kind of reel in the generals and stuff. Yeah, because in England they have the royal family, but they really don't do anything. They're just kind of like a figurehead, so to speak. They have a little bit of say, but their power is nothing really. A couple of countries still have monarchs or whatever, but it's just more of like the tradition, not running the country.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So, next little topic we're going to cover is the anime as a reflection on Japanese society. So, what I mean by this, think of anime as a mirror. It reflects what they have in their culture to what is going on, their customs, their traditions, their values. Anime is a mirror to the outside world looking in.
I'm following.
So as a mirror, what are some of the reactions when you hear that statement? A reflection in the mirror.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like you're looking at yourself. That's basically what the reflection is you looking at a mirror so you can see yourself, because you yourself cannot see yourself how you are. You can't see your face from your eyes. You might see from like your neck down, so to speak. That's
and
what
if
reflection.
You see a country's culture reflected in that media, like you see in a mirror, what does that do?
Oh, yeah, I was getting into that. In a lot of animes, they play on kind of how the country is. In Japan, especially in a lot of fight scenes that they do, with the samurais or swords, having a sword battle, there's a lot of honor among them. They still have that aspect in life of honoring your enemy, even though that you're fighting against them. A lot of enemies have like the code of honor, So when they're dueling, there's like a level of respect. If that makes sense.
Nah, it makes sense because they put a lot of time in the craft of not only how they react, how society would be during that time period, the trends, but like everyday life into the medium itself. It kind of defines how culture is expanded on, but in a reflective type of way than just say force it on you. They just put it there and you see it as you would see yourself in that reflection.
Yeah, and as many animes that I've watched, they also bring in a point of family being very important. So that's also reflective of their culture. Do you know that Japan, the family is a very serious thing for them,
And with the concept, I feel like when most people watch it, they feel like immersed into the show because of how connectivity it is to you, to them, back to the show, back to the listener and the watcher.
Yeah, yes.
So its value as an entertainment is compatibility, connectivity, and speak of great ethos that appeals to why you like certain things the way you do. It appears to that ethos type entertainment is not really trying to persuade you to do something. It's not trying to get you logistics. It's trying to you be related to the show and have a different understanding to it, to like it, a capability to it.
Yeah, I mean, as you watch anime, it's also reflected in the country is that the women there have a very strong sexual like tension, and the guys are idiots. Oh, come on! Every anime you see that the female badass characters are overtly sexual towards the male characters that they like, and the male characters have no idea what to do because they're idiots.
Yeah, okay, fine. I agree with that one.
I don't mean that's how it really is. I'm just saying it as a joke because I don't know how.
Well,
I don't know how dating is in Japan. I'm sorry.
Japan, when it comes to dating, is very conservative. Family is very conservative. Family is important. Getting the approval of the family is very important. Also, doing things out of the norm or to get attention, if it's not normal, why should you do it? It's like a shame factor sometimes. They don't want you to stand out. They want your hair to be plain. No, like highlights or hair dye or tattoos, all that stuff. They want you to just be a normal looking person that don't want to stand out too much.
Well, if that's reflective of the culture, then why do they have like this bright blue, bright purple, bright pink hair? If that's they don't want to stand out.
In the values, because that's still there. But also, most of the time, anime is what you ever want it to be. So the visionary of the curator creates any conduct of the world itself with the crazy hair, with the lavendered hairstyle, all that stuff.
They do have
So
some
it's their
crazy hair.
imagination changing the filter. It doesn't have to be a traditional view necessarily. And then, and
Right
also in anime, it's more accustomed to go out of the norm, let's say, because of the fact you are being expressive, so you do not conform to the traditional conserve values in your own culture. You can go out of that envelope a little bit and push it more. So, because the narrative, the care embulates the essence of the society with the insights to the nation's history, folklore, and the philosophies. So it just doesn't have to always be 100% reflective. It should be somewhat reflective. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I'm sure that when they make animes, the animators and the creators of these things, they kind of want to take certain liberties when they're creating the animation, to have a little fun with it, so to speak, showing their own creativity with it, instead of, because I'm pretty sure like Japanese movies and stuff that they don't really have a lot of crazy hair or stuff like that, they are very consistent. I feel like in anime they can kind of get away with things a little bit more, as it is just animation in a cartoon. It's not like life.
It's everything you want it to be.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that's kind of like the reflection on Japanese as a society through the lens of anime. Now we get to the actual influence. So the reflection and influence are two different things. The influence is the various aspects of society into pop culture.
Okay.
Like the fan communities, the conventions, the cosplay events. You're fostering a sense of belonging among aficionados or enthusiasts to actually play that part.
Yeah, I mean, I know of several different kinds of cultures or ways that they do it. Like you have the maid cafes is a big thing. A lot of the idols that they have going on, and I don't know how to say it correctly, but I think it's Lolita or something like that. That's also a big thing that has an influence of like the old school Victorian style outfits that the fans of that style like to wear, and they have their own like little thing that they do. And I also feel that the influence of anime has had an influence on Japan itself, with the rise of like all the bubblegum pop princess type things, the crazy hair, the bright colored outfits, the kind of like that rave vibe that goes on. I'm sure you've heard the Japanese J-pop stuff like that. It's very electronic based to it.
Well, J-pop is a really big influence because upbeat music, fast, rhythmic, to the point where it's a high grossing genre. With gay pop, when you think about it, our pop is more upbeat, more simplistic approach, but repeated phrases. Well, J-pop and its version of K-pop as well typically goes with a huge rhythmic sound of music going, but also having that delivers with it. Very happy upbeat or sad upbeat, but giving a definite message, where our pop sometimes can lack that message.
Yeah.
So that's why, karaoke is such a pastime over there.
Yeah, that's also true, because I do know a lot of karaoke bars that I've been to are very, very, a lot of their clients or people that go and do this are of Asian and probably mostly Japanese descent or whatever, and it's fun. They have fun with it.
Oh yeah. And with them doing it, it actually provides a escape. And this is why you have different things like that.
Yeah, I believe that like people in Japan going out to a karaoke bar and hanging out with some friends and drinking, it's like the American version of going out to a nightclub to, with some friends and meet people or whatever. You're kind of having a little escape.
True. But don't forget the
It's
tourist attractions as well. Real life attractions based off the animated show in being trade from a show medium to real life. People love the theme merchandise with.
yeah, and I mean, like I said before, a maid cafe. You know, you see a lot of those in animes, and they have them in real life. You know.
That's very big apparent of it. What the different
Yeah,
landmarks, the different destinations. People love going to that because of the influence. The influence is a direct correlation to people visiting that site for whatever property made it either profound or very favorable to the people to go visit in real life.
that's
Because
another way to talk.
of the culture, so the landmark is a big part of it. That's why a lot of the anime use real life locations in the anime to what actual Japan is.
That is also true. They always talking about Mount Fuji and all the different districts in Tokyo that you see.
Well, that's why it's very evident of the fact that the culture is so significant to them that they use their own geographic location as the base and don't necessarily always deviate from it. They do deviate into their own world, but generally speaking, the protagonist is always going to be someplace in Japan as the mainstay, as the home base, and everywhere else is just playing along with that storyline. And most of the time, the setting is in Japan anyway. Very few times do they deviate medium or pattern.
Yeah, or they have their own world, but a lot of anime have something to do with Japan. You're right about that.
No, example of that would probably be like an entire world built totally separate that's not based on Japan. Those typically are the shows that kind of follow that pattern. Where the lore and the world building is so vast that it's totally different. But they use elements in that world to take inspiration from.
Yeah, like they'll have like a mystical or magical world, and they are kind of related to something that's actually in their home country. So yeah. I totally get what you're saying there.
And sometimes the inspiration is so minute that it goes to show you this. If a fox was the entire setting for this major character, what was the real premise? It being the fox, or the fox originating everything else from that concept?
So you're saying what did the fox say?
Well, in this context, like, for example, the main storyline of Naruto is the Nine-Tails Fox. Nine-Tails is generally longevity, long-lasting, forever, immortality in the folklore. But just because there's one character, the idea of a fox is very the Jinchuriki system, the great-tailed beast. Spirit monsters actually coming alive with so much power, being so dedicated to the folklore that it branches it off as an entire building point for that makeup of that character in the storyline. They take abstract concepts and turn it into a grand plan.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. And that's the influence it takes. Sometimes it can be influence. Oh, maybe having a world based in music is not so bad. But let's take this, for example, and apply a world of a leader of a nation and totally turn 360 on it. So the influence is felt also in like fashion. Anime is huge on the fashion industry. If a character looks a specific way, people are going to take after that character and dress like them, or be in a similar version as their own style.
Now,
maybe
when it comes to fashion, why are the female outfits a lot revealing, and then the guys' outfits, for the most part, are just kind of boring?
There are some flashy costumes with the men.
Oh yeah, there are some animes out there where they have some like kind of weird outfits, and you're just like, all right, cool, man. I know it goes both ways. I'm just talking out my backside, man. The guys have revealing outfits too, and I think it all depends on the anime or the animators or the directors. But yeah, the outfits are always flashy with all sorts of stuff. Like, you'll have an outfit and they have super long sleeves, and that's how they fight. Or like their shoes are like super pointy, and their hair is like only down there, and they have like a 3-foot freaking hairpin or something. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I
the
feel
outfits
like
are a
your
little
outfit will probably be something like bunny ears with a tracksuit from the 80s, and then you have your leg warmers, and you totally like in a 21st century getup with a wig that's like going super tall, and you just like, here I am. Who cares who I am? I'm here to stay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's just weird stuff.
Maybe your hair is like combed out like a little overlay, and you have this little bang that will always stick up, and that's you just feel like you're sick.
Or like somehow the guy the females have like big old like two hair buns, and then like they have like one strand of hair that like goes all the way to the length of their body, while the rest of the hair kind of like stops in the middle of their back. Or guys have like a 3-foot fro that goes straight from the top of their head. It's that stuff is wild. It's funny.
Exactly, and you can't you can try to pull it off, but you're not going to be like them.
No, definitely. There are some hairstyles that I'm just like, I don't know how. Watch some cosplayers pull it off. I'm just like, how do you do that?
That's just being authentic, trying to go with what you think do. But yeah, that's some of the influence. That's more of the best examples to go with it. Now, the global reach and the impact is interesting because beyond the domestic, it's gaining immense popularity around the earth. It's an integral part of global pop culture.
Look what's going on with the U.S. That's all I gotta say. And then now they have animes coming out like Castlevania, which is based off of European stuff. They have quite a bit of European style or stories that are being made into anime, like the Stay Fate Night different series that they have out.
Great. But they draw inspiration. They'll do they'll challenging what their storytelling is. And like, for example, like Johnny Appleseed, they have an entire story of that one. So they're just like different versions like of that character in that media. They can take it, it's like, okay, this is our version of it. This is our spin, our stick.
It's also a good way of kind of, animes doing that, taking parts of other cultures and kind of making stuff with it. Also kind of connects them with other groups of people, other societies, and that's also kind of, it goes both ways, I feel like,
And then you get like popular phrases like, oh, if I want to get my ultimate goal, then I'll be like the One Piece. Or, I don't know, whenever I want a wish granted, there you go. You have your own ball that did your wish along the way. But like, it resonates with the people, and a good global reach of the impact is like nerdcore music you recognize, but it's in the lyrics itself.
Yeah, I mean, since we're talking about the global reach of anime, just look how much like culture has come from all the way from Japan and Korea, and it's coming over into the U.S. now, going over into the Europe, and I think even up into Canada, not just the U.S., but I mean, their culture is all over. We have the types of candies. Like I think Haichu was originally a Japanese candy, and now it's big in the States. Ramen noodles, even though the ramen noodles that we have here are nothing compared to like real ramen noodles that they make, and just stuff like sushi. Sushi has a real, in the past like probably 20 years or so, has become a big thing in this country, and that's all thanks to Japan.
The exchange of culture. So the exchange of culture, the global reach, is why we have such international release of expectation and adaptation that we apply and put into something else, and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see the global reach.
With their own spin, they understand what that culture is, and then put in their own, and still change to do what Japan is. Because now we have the proliferation of like fan art, the cosplay, the growing acceptance of Japanese culture in other countries, being a milestone in that global reach and impact stage. And fan art's interesting for the simple fact that any character is now being recreated in someone else's own image and their own style, always changing. What is one thing in the global reach that you really love to see more of?
Oh man, how are you gonna ask me that question? I'm like caught off guard.
In fact, you don't know what I'm gonna ask.
Sometimes you come up with a good question and I have nothing to say for. I guess just I want to see more that's taken into place. Is you gotta respect. Just the respect. Japan has a culture of respecting things. And I feel like, especially in this day and age right now with everything going on, there's just not a lot of respect that goes on. And I don't want to sound, I'm not trying to be all political, just respect goes both ways. If you respect people and they should respect you back, there's always a common thing that you can find with somebody from a different culture or a different way of life or whatever. And it's just the whole thing is just respect, to have an understanding, respect them as a person, respect them for what they do in their own country. I might not understand it, you might not like it, but I do know in Japan that there's a lot of respecting of other cultures, and I wish we'd probably see something like that. I wish would be partaking globally now.
Some more assimilation. People understanding something. Do it the anime way. It's like, you know what? If the bad guy can be a best friend to the character later on, why can't we just do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's that you bring that up in anime. Sometimes a bad guy can also become your friend, because there's always a bigger threat out there. Something like that. We don't necessarily need to fight everybody. You can also... Am I opposed to fighting? No, but I mean... Sometimes that's all you can do. That's the only choice you have. Other times you can try not to, but and that's what I like about Japanese culture is they will sit there and try to figure out some kind of cordial way, but if not, they will sit there and fight for their beliefs, and even though they're fighting against someone they have nothing but respect for, it's just the way it is, and something like that. It's just
the talking battles. The characters are going to talk so much in the fight that they're trying to fight with words and battle at the same time.
Yeah, when they're in the middle of fighting, they're like, I'm doing this for... yeah. Okay.
I don't get the example, but that's justified to do that.
Yeah, that's like every anime ever, they always have when they're going on the attack and they're, beating up the bad guys, like, I'm doing this for this, and I'm doing this for my friends. Power of friendship.
Because at one moment you got treated bad doesn't mean you should take control and try to destroy everything or control everything.
Right,
your way of your purpose and motivation is not there. Oh my gosh, dude, don't have better side. And then you see the flashback of the villain in mid-fight, and it's like, you drag it out.
Yeah. They make you want to feel bad for the bad guy or whatever. Yeah, I get it.
True. In your case, you're just not going to feel bad. You're just going to like, oh, I can respect that.
Yeah, but yeah, I can respect where you're coming from, but, you're still kind of the bad guy here, so.
So that's the global reach and the impact of what it's done in our society. What are some future prospects that you think will happen in your lifetime? Maybe 20 years from now.
Future prospects as in, like, what? Are we talking about, like, animation
future prospects for the industry, for the continuation of the growing of it.
You know what I think might happen sooner rather than later is hologram animation.
Well, I mean, we had the technology make it like really realistic.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like you're already bringing back like there's holograms of going to a concert and seeing Michael Jackson or Tupac Shakur. Like pretty soon, I think we'll be able to have like these cool holograms of watching an anime, but it's like 3D and kind of like taking place in like real life or whatever. You know, the actual on location and watch like an anime battle happen or something. I feel like that might happen sooner rather than later.
True. And also, I mean, we also have more cross-cultural exchanges. That's going to keep happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to probably catch up to a point where it's going to be, almost live simulcasting effect from both cross-cultural references in that country to this country. And that's going to continue to form. And also, it's still being apart from other animations out there. The art style, the techniques for storytelling, the cultural context being the selling point.
And another future prospect that might be good is kind of like the translations coming from like Japan to like an English audience, with especially if you like watching stuff subtitled like I do some from time to time. Is maybe somehow figuring out better of like how it's supposed to look in English from a Japanese language to how the translations can kind of a little bit better as technology and stuff get, it's better with it. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's plenty of animes you watch on the subtitle. You like, I kind of understand what they're saying. They're just kind of saying it in like a odd tone or odd way of saying, but you still get the gist of it.
Oh yeah, and it's going to continue to have that deep root cultural significance that we all know and love, for the media growing on everyone else.
True.
I feel like it could be that bridge. It connects the culture, but it fosters a deeper understanding and the appreciation of Japanese traditions and values for us to continue to enjoy down the line.
Yes.
So, with that being said, what is probably a concluding statement you want to say about the cultural significance of anime in today's episode?
What I want to say is that how anime you see in Japan and how Japan as a culture is different. You don't want to go over there, especially if people are visiting. I know it's something that's been kind of going on for time you go over there. You want to go and respect their culture. Please respect their culture, and don't look when you go like you're gonna go there. It's gonna be Max and magic girls and dudes, and running around fighting monsters and demons and slime. It's not like that. Just kind of respect the culture if you go to be a tourist. Respect other people's different takes on anime, to what they like and what they don't like. Like I said, just respect it, everything that goes into it. It's an art form. It's some people, it's a way of life. Just kind of respect it. That's all, I guess, is to say.
Your biggest stick is respecting? Okay.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I'm saying that it's gonna continue to grow. I hope more animes come out that are gonna be pushing the bounds of animation or society, kind of bringing in new ideas. And more come out, I want things that I can fall in love with, characters. I want to see cooler cosplays and keep that up. I want to see variants of old school, new school. I like the way that that it is. As it is, but sometimes the culture can be a little toxic, and I wish we can minimize that to a degree.
Well, true, and also another thing going forward, the longevity of the episode mid. They're not going to be super short, but they're going to be just long enough. You can get into at least 200 episodes, 300 plus chapters, stuff like that, and the long-form media, as anime used to be, is not necessarily the point where it was before.
That is true, too.
So with that, keep it in mind, see anime as a lens, as a pebble in water. You see a reflection, you throw a rock in, and your reflection gets distorted. But after the distortion ripples away, as we call it, the ripple effect, your reflection will get back to normal. So after that rock gets thrown in, you might have a cultural awareness to what you're seeing, but over time, you're going to see yourself as plain as day when it comes back to rest in the initial stage. If it's at rest, then the law of inertia states that there's not moving anymore, unless a force of equal or opposite reaction comes along to push it along again. And one thing I would comment on, take it where it is. The entertainment is telling a story. It's appealing to your pathos and your ethos most all the time. Sometimes your logos, but it's a form of entertainment. The purpose is behind it. The purpose is to entertain at the end of the day. You relate to it. You resonate with it. Someone else might resonate differently. But in that moment, you're liking it for what it is, as a form of entertainment that you will like to see, try for more, and overall have appreciation for the media, just like any other entertainment out there. But yeah, that wraps up this episode. Leslie, where can they find you if they want to support you and all that good stuff?
Well, you can find me hiding in the shadows of dark alleyways, flipping a nickel and smoking a nice cigar and reading a manga off of my phone.
Oh. And don't forget, what he's doing the coins of the nickels. If you've upset him, he does it so much great force that it's a air pressure right in disguise.
Exactly. I can flick that nickel so fast at you, it's like getting pierced by a 22 bullet. Now, you can find me. You can find me on Spotify, any place where podcasts are. For my podcast, The Lesson Made, which I'm gonna be having your an episode we did recently being posted tomorrow. You can find me on the internet anywhere. It's either my name Leslie Madewell or Madewell Art Photography. You can find all my stuff there. That's best.
Yep, that wraps up the cultural significance of anime and Japanese society and the reflection lens that we have and everything else that goes with it. So with that being said, this was a conductive episode. I liked it so much. I even got the nickel-loving Leslie over here to say who he is and why he is, and all the stuff in between.
You're a very nice man.
Exactly. With that, crazy hairdo can go to the anime. Alright guys, see you later.
This concludes another episode of MC Anime Podcast. MC Anime Podcast is available on podcast directories like Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. We also have our website at mcanimepodcast.com. If you want to directly support us, then follow Patreon blog MC Anime. Finally, if you want services for hire, then we're available on Fiverr for audio and video production, graphic design, idea consulting, and blog and article writing.